Hello and welcome to the history of Babylon 5. Today's episode, the Centauri. The Centauri are a sentient species and one of the younger races, who originate from the planet Centauri Prime, in Sector 130. The Centauri are bipedal humanoids, in similar appearance enough to humans that the species could easily pass for one another under casual inspection, apart from distinctive differences in hairstyling and attire. During the third age of mankind, the average lifespan of the Centauri was around 150 Earth years. The cardiovascular system of the Centauri have two hearts instead of a single heart that humans have. The right heart is a solid mass of muscle which provides most of the force behind the body's blood circulation. The left heart is much more complex, made up of an intricate system of thousands of veins that help cleanse the blood in a manner similar to human kidneys. As a result, a heart attack in the left heart is a very serious matter because it is very difficult to repair. Their network of blood vessels is also somewhat different than in humans, as they do not have major blood vessels in their wrists. The Centauri have extrasensory perception to varying degrees, generally manifesting in precognitive abilities. Most Centauri have limited perceptions, enjoying only rare fleeting glimpses of the future. However, some Centauri will experience vivid prophetic dreams, telling them of the time and the circumstances of their death. A rare few Centauri, exclusively female, have very strong prophetic abilities. These females are often given a special status in Centauri society that is much higher than would normally be given to a female. The widow of Emperor Turan, Lady Morella, is said to have extensive precognitive abilities, to a point where she is considered a great prophet and could see glimpses of someone's future just from the touch of their hand. She also acts as if she speaks for both herself and her late husband. Some Centauri have telepathic abilities. Like humans, the degree of the telepathic ability varies with the individual. The Centauri Emperor Turan always had 4 female telepaths in his court, who had been trained since birth to be continuously mind-linked. When he traveled, 2 went with him and 2 remained at the royal palace, allowing rapid communication between the Emperor and Centauri Prime. The Nobility is the center of all power and influence within Centauri society. An advancement is only possible for an individual if they are either a member of a house or connected to one. The patronage of a noble is the easiest and often only way for a commoner to achieve success, and the trading of favors for mutual profit is par for the course. The more influence a noble seems to have, the more sought after, and consequently the more expensive are his favors. The houses themselves constitute the Republic's chief societal unit and are formed from old families of varying power. The noble houses are the old guard, while the so-called great houses serve as middle class, though many of the Republic's leadership comes from such houses. The lesser houses are made up of the lower servants and working classes. Most Centauri are allied to one house or another by way of blood relation, arranged marriages, or in service as retainers. The few families that have no such alliances, known as houseless families, are considered beneath contempt. Such unfortunates often end up in such predicaments when they refuse to play the game of inner house politics, gathering secrets, gaining leverage, and trading in favors to form alliances. And it's not uncommon for members of these families, and women in particular, to end up as contractual slaves. By law, any Centauri subject, even non-Centauri, may own a Centauri as a slave, but they must abide by the Republic's laws governing slavery. For example, an owner is considered responsible for the actions of their slave and is held accountable for any crime their slave might commit. Traditionally, a Centauri's social standing is displayed by the length of their hair crests, with longer hair denoting a higher position, while the shorter crest is intended only for the proletariat. This only applies to males. Centauri females, who have no social standing or official positions within society, typically shave their heads, sometimes with a knot or a ponytail of hair at the crown. This total lack of social standing for Centauri women is unique among the civilized races. While the noble women are often spoiled and pampered, the common women are a protected and treasured resource, often working behind the scenes and often filling roles such as teachers and narrators for the young and old alike. The few Centauri women who are ambiguous in political or industrial circles have a better chance of finding opportunities beyond the borders of the Republic. Male Centauri are usually the leaders and workers of society, serving in the military and doing all the physical demanding tasks, with the commoners usually tending to dominate the latter professions. Marriages. Family and lineage are of great significance to the Centauri, most especially because of their rich traditions of thousands of years of recorded history. Marriages arranged in early childhood have been commonplace among the noble houses since around the 13th century, with considerations such as wealth, influence, and house allegiances to respective families to gain from such unions typically being the only contributing forces. The prospective couple's feelings towards one another are considered irrelevant, and love very rarely plays any part. Indeed, for most old-school Centauri, the two most important indicators of wealth and power of a prospective spouse's family are how ugly and old they are, one common for all Centauri at all levels of society. In recent years, such arranged marriages have fallen out of favor in all but the noble houses, with whom it is considered nothing short of a sacred duty. As Centauri are by tradition polygamous, it's not unusual for a noble male to have several wives, all by arranged marriages, the better to cement the more house alliances and acquire greater influence. If a noble family doesn't approve of a union, for instance, a male marries beneath his station to a commoner, for such a trivial motivation as love, that family can force him to divorce with the threat of being cut off from the house. With the prospect of no money, position, or title, very few nobles, even the young foolish kind, are willing to endure life as a social outcast for the sake of a woman. Though divorces for marriages of passion are relatively simple, a divorce from an arranged marriage is much harder to come by, and can often only be sought out from the emperor himself. Regardless, for the sake of appearances, it's considered unseemly for a noble to be completely unwed, and at least one wife is required to be at his side, if only for state affairs. For the nobility, marriage ceremonies themselves are considered solemn, sober occasions filled with moments of reflection, regret, disagreement, argument, and mutual recrimination. The idea being that once you know it can't get any worse, you can relax and enjoy the marriage. To celebrate a union with joy and exuberance is considered to be a very bad sign for the future. By contrast, state funerals are generally considered to be positively festive. Customs. Fosterage is an old tradition by which one or more young nobles are taken in by a member of an allied house. While there, they are tutored in Centauri culture and proper decorum for those with their rank. When they come of age, the noble that fostered him or her can decide that the young Centauri may choose whomever they wish to marry, regardless of their family's wishes. The more powerful noble willing to take the child in, the greater honor on his or her family. Once a common practice, it has fallen out of use, but is still considered legally binding. Under Centauri law, while a Centauri is still too young to speak for him or herself, they may fall under guardianship of an adult, who need not necessarily be a relation, that speaks on all matters of importance for that child. One of the most significant times for a Centauri male is his day of ascension, and anniversary of that day. At such a time, a significant influential Centauri may even receive a congratulatory note from the royal court, and an imperial favor from the emperor himself. The traditional celebration takes the form of a great festive party with giving gifts to the ascendee. By tradition, attendees are required to attend barefoot. To do so otherwise is considered a grave insult, though the ascendee can choose to overlook such an affront when the offending party is a good and dear friend and or a narn. Religion. Centauri religion is polytheistic, centering on a pantheon of gods, each of which are believed to hold dominion over a given afterlife. Centauri belief is that by sufficiently appeasing one's patron god during their lifetime, that god will accept them into the afterlife in preparation for the time when all the heavens unite into one. Those that do not appease their god sufficiently are thought to be reborn and must choose a new god, repeating the process until one accepts them. The pantheon itself is made up of a mixture of old household gods, defiled emperors, Defied? Deified. Deified emperors and the Great Maker as the chief creator deity. This makes the Centauri unique among the Maker religions, as all others are monotheistic. As more emperors are gradually elevated to godhood, the exact number of Centauri gods is given to change. But by 2258 the total stood around 50, though even that is dependent on whether one believes Zog should be included. Thank you for watching the History of Babylon 5. Special thanks to the Babylon Project for all information you heard today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you can. If you have, thank you, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.